Jumbo Scampi. For limited...
All for a price that will make you...
How the hell am I supposed to pay?
You're listening to BAMF, UK Comic Book Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to BAMF Comic Book Radio. I am your host, as always, Bertie Kempson. This is BAMF Comic Book Radio, your weekly comics podcast for news, reviews and odd points of views. If you don't know what we are, BAMF stands for Bert and his many friends, and today my many friends are Lucas. Say hello, Lucas.
Hello, Lucas.
And Nevs. Say hello, Nevs.
Hello, Internet.
That's right, I've only got two friends. I'm sad. I'm not actually that sad, never mind. We're going to jump straight in because we got some really great news. I'm going to kick off the news. You ready, guys?
Okay, let's do this.
This news could be fake or could be real, but we're mentioning it anyway because it's the best.
Oh, I know this thing. Isn't this the bit that I'm going to be playing Thanos in the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
It's as ridiculous as that, but not that. Yeah, Justin Bieber, okay. There's a picture of Justin Bieber with him posing in the mirror with the script of Batman Superman. And the script looks pretty official. I've only seen the picture once, so I didn't get a chance to examine it. But it looks like Justin Bieber could be in the film. Maybe as Robin. I purposely hammered Lucas today with it just to make sure he knew.
I deliberately ignored all of your tweets because of this, by the way.
Yeah. I've had quite a good discussion with a couple of listeners about this, and well, I think it should happen, personally. I think it should. Why should there not be Justin Bieber in superhero films, really? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure there could be quite a lot of argument as to why he should and why he shouldn't. Most of the ones going towards why he should be in superhero films coming from teenage girls, and most of the ones coming from people why he shouldn't be in superhero movies from people who know what they're talking about. To be fair, you never know. He might actually be like a really amazing actor and might be able to pull off Robin fantastically. However, I seriously doubt it, and really just wouldn't want Justin Bieber in a movie. That's just my personal.
In a movie, full stop. You don't even want him in his own film.
No, because don't give the kid any more of an ego than he's already got. But this isn't BAMF Comic Book Radio does the music show. So let's not get into celebrities' lives.
All right. Let's move on real quick. We're going to get away from this just in case Lucas goes mental.
I will. I'll explode all over your face.
I don't want this to happen. We've got some actual news. Marvel this week, at the beginning of the week, released that they are officially doing their Marvel Now Phase 2. It's going to be the all-new Marvel Now, and it will have books such as the all-new Invaders, Inhumans, off the top of my head this is, so creators' names will come later. Inhumans, all-new Invaders. Guys, if you want to help me real quick, that would be real nice.
Well, James Robinson's writing the all-new Invaders, and this
That's
is kind
it,
of
James Robinson, yeah.
Because, the dude really knows his World War II superhero comics, and obviously, the Invaders is rooted in all that stuff. And there's a really cool thing they're doing where all the first issues come with a digital code for the first trade paperback of the series it's spinning out of, which I think is a hell of a thing.
That's brilliant. I told Lucas
buy a $4 comic and get a free trade paperback as part of the bargain. Nice one, Marvel.
I told Lucas it's Mr. Bargain Man, and he had a bit of a smile on his face when I told him. That's brilliant. Inhumans will be written by Matt Fraction, and there is a couple of others that have slipped my mind, but it's Wave 2, and it's happening, is it December? Real soon, right?
Yep, December is the beginning.
December. Came with the solicitations this week from Marvel. And speaking of solicitations, Peter Parker's kind of back. Right, Nev?
Well, I'm literally looking at the solicitations now. I've been checking the updates every day because obviously these are the 4 words that people have been wanting to hear since December the 27th, 2012, is Peter Parker is back. Now, that is what it says in the solicitations. However, reading further into the solicitations for Amazing Spider-Man 700.1 to .4, these all appear to be short stories. Yeah. They don't seem to be like an ongoing narrative, and there's no relating text suggesting that they're connected to what's happening to Superior Spider-Man, which is launching the Superior Venom story that month. So
the numbering is the only thing that sort of suggests, because isn't the numbering going to be 700.1 and points through 1 to 5?
That suggests that happens after 700, where Pete snuffs it, right? But well, you know, we've only got the solicitation, so we don't know. It's a long time between now and Christmas. But and Dan Slott isn't writing these. I think is the key thing. I think
have you got a list of the creators who are?
Well, yeah, there's great people on there. Joe Casey's doing one who I totally love for sex. Let me rephrase that. I totally love Joe Casey.
No, you said no. You love him for sex. You said it. You love Joe Casey for sex.
I love Joe Casey for sex and his hairy man funny book action, but you're absolutely right. You've caught me out on the fine amount of my career. I said it. My homosexual love is outed, and I feel better. I feel clean inside.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Hug me.
Yeah, embrace it, man.
I appreciate you two. I'm a sexy man. I'm glad I got to share this with you. You know, if I'm going to come out to anyone, might as well be you.
I feel privileged.
Well, I'm glad. Right. I'm glad we can spend this time together, sharing that.
Right. So what's okay?
Spider-Man. So it looks like it's a series of short stories featuring Peter Parker, which probably, emphasis, double underline quotation marks, probably take place pre-Peter dying, rather than being subsequent to the events of Amazing 700, where, as we all know, Doc Ock becomes a Superior Spider-Man and the internet cried. But personally, I think if you kill a character, keep him dead. That's how death works.
I can't. I've always said he will be back eventually. For the fans, it's kind of a bittersweet moment, I think, because you're going to get Peter's stories, but he isn't fully back. But again, as I keep saying to loads of fans that are angry he's gone, just wait and see. He'll be back soon. He's got a film coming out next year. It's all going to be good. It's all going to be cushy. Alright, I've got some more news. It's going to be cushy. DC news. This time, sort of done something right. They said sorry for the Harley Quinn bathtub suicide. I don't know any more apart from the apology. Nevs, do you have any more from this?
I do, yeah. They basically said, look, the script that we've given as part of the talent search was one, not indicative of the final story, but rather meant to be some kind of Mad Magazine's Looney Tunes kind of Tex Avery looking thing. So it's like, I don't know if you guys have read the early issues of Harley Quinn by Terry Dodson, but what they do there is they flip between, like, the real world, where everything's really nicely rendered and realistic, again, quotation marks, and they flip to what Harley's seeing, where everything like a cartoon. So she smacks somebody in the head with a hammer, and they just pass out, and their tongue will hang out the side, and have their X's in their eyes, and there'd be like stars hanging over their head. But then you flip back to the real world, and it's like some dude with a massive gash in the side of his head, bleeding copiously. And it sounds like that's what they were aiming for, but they weren't clear about, you know, that was kind of what they were aiming for in the scene. But they have apologized quite extensively after, wow, quite a lot of people, including the American Psychiatric Association, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the National Alliance on Mental Illness, all released a joint statement, which was picked up by USA Today, suggesting that DC were attempting to make light of suicide and was potentially dangerous for younger readers. The statement reads, the purpose of the talent search was to allow new artists an opportunity to draw in a single page of a 20-page story. True to the nature of the character, the entire story is cartoony and over-the-top in tone, as Harley Quinn breaks the fourth wall and satirizes the very scenes she appears in. DC Entertainment sincerely apologizes to anyone who may have found the page synopsis offensive and for not clearly providing the entire context of the scene within the full scope of that story. So, yeah, it seems to me DC just didn't think too much before actually releasing the thing.
That seems to be the DC motto, right?
Yeah, I know. It's like, which thing could we possibly do that would offend the most readers? Oh, that thing. That's what we're leading with. See also Batwoman, Aquaman. I can't even think what else. You know, I haven't looked at the internet in 10 minutes, so I don't know if DC have done anything stupid. I will leave you with this.
If
you're not checking out what have DC done something stupid today.com. Literally, like, the best website. It's a spin-off of theouthouses.com, which is the best comics news site for my money. Yeah. So yeah, not making too light of the suicide story. I apologise for that, but those guys are great. And I think DC have really just said, look, we didn't really think this through. We probably could have done without the multi-tweet lecture from Jim Lee suggesting that people didn't understand what context was.
I thought that was hilarious, by the way.
It's well, it came, on our time, it came up at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, so I think we're all just a bit blear-eyed going, what's Jim going on about? What? No, I know what context is, mate. I think you've just, whoever released the synopsis didn't really understand that if you release a frame of a thing, as we saw from the Superman-Batman thing from San Diego, right? If people see one element of the thing, they will judge that. Whether they're right or wrong to, different question. But the thing is, they will singular image all the synopsis provided in this circumstance. So, yeah, no, I don't think people should be saying, well, I know all about this big 30, fragment of it. On terms of that, what people do. So, you have to kind of work around that kind of thought process when you're releasing stuff like this. So I think.
Alright, I don't think we have any more news. Nevs, have you got any last bits?
Yeah, but
18 ground news.
Well, the next thing is this really awesome interview that Jeff Darrow has just done with MTV Geek, promoting the return of his fantastic comic book that was previously released by Burlyman Studios, which was the White House Brothers comic imprint, which also produced Steve Scruggs' Dr. Frankenstein comic for a while. Shaolin Cowboy being the adventures of a Shaolin monk with a horse who's a cowboy who fights giant monsters, and it's genius. And it's returning to being published on a regular schedule, as in more than one every 2 years, by Dark Horse. It's going to be a big magazine, and it looks lovely. And he's, if you go to mtvgeek.com, you can see lots and lots of preview pages, which are gorgeous, gorgeous things. He's been away just doing an animated version of the thing. He hasn't been lazy or anything, because Jeff Darrow works harder than most comic artists on one page than anyone else does in a month. So yeah, really glad to see him back. He has returned, and he's going to be doing very good things. Bother your local retailer for Shaolin Cowboy soon.
And it's time to go into what we have been reading. This week, I'm going to continue. I'll go first again if you don't mind, guys. I'm going to continue Marvel Event Watch. Now, Marvel's got 2 series going on at the same time. One's fairly big, one's an X-Men tie-in, so fairly big as well. I'm going to jump straight in with the Infinity tie-ins that Marvel released this week. First, Avengers, right, and I couldn't stop but pour my heart out how much I loved this issue. This issue was really great for me. It was like, what has happened is the war council in space that have gathered from the Annihilus and the Skrulls and the Kree and the Spartax and Earth and so on. They've retreated back to this safe base around the planet, and they're contemplating what to do. While they're thinking of a plan, Jay, son of the Spartax, he decides to betray the team or this assembly and communicate with the Builders directly. The Builders have Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, and a couple of other Avengers captured. Jay's son makes contact, tries to bargain a deal. The Builders don't care, they reject him, and then using the communication, finds the location of the team, the assembly of the heroes, and attacks. That's where the issue ends. But I've got to say, the issue, brief as it was, had a lot going for it. For me, it felt like, felt really, 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 for the first time, grand and open and dangerous. When I was reading it, I got the feeling of Mass Effect. So I know Lucas has played Mass Effect. I don't know if you have, Nevs, or the listeners.
It was very Mass Effect-y,
I played halfway through the first game, and I was like, this is just meetings in space. And I got bored.
It gets better, and it particularly reminded me of Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 is the final point of the 2 previous games where everything comes down to one final sort of confrontation, and they're pulling resources and pulling men and power and all this, and the balance feels like it's win or lose. And this is what this book felt like. It showcased to the Builders a nasty piece of work. And it really sort of felt the higher stakes, basically. Whether it's going to continue being higher stakes or just like with a flip of a switch turn around, which is more than likely, I don't know. But in the meantime, it really felt like a lot of back and forward, very dangerous and big and epic. All the while, on Earth, even more epic stuff is happening. And that brings me to the second Infinity Time, which was the weaker of the two. It was Infinity the Hunt, which was written by Matt Kint. I only really read it because I saw Matt Kint's name, but I was sort of let down by it. The premise is the schools of Earth that school and train superhumans, so the Jean Grey School, Futuration, Avengers Academy, the Wakandan School for other, it's actually called like the other teachings or something, and others all around. They're gathering for a contest of champions, a throwback to a story a while back, years ago. And they're all going to compete. It's kind of like a Harry Potter thing where you take some members from each school, you all go against each other and win something. All the while, they're introducing these new characters. Some sort of felt a bit rubbish. You know, there wasn't some great ones from England. It was just like a reimagined Box and some other dude that I've already forgotten. And then, as they try communicating with the Atlantis School, that's when it ties into Infinity 2 and the new Avengers book where Atlantis has been attacked. And then that's where it ends. And from there, I'm guessing they're getting the kids involved. The only good thing I've really got to say about the book is that it's a really good way of, rather than having a million tie-in issues, they go, here's loads of characters, let's put them into one book and go from there. Which I'm thankful for, but the book just didn't grab me as a thought it would. It's got Hank Pym, it's got She-Hulk to Jen, it's got Wolverine and Megan from Captain Britain, but it just wasn't for me, I think. Maybe for someone else, but yeah, I can miss it. It's like a hit or miss sort of, not needed Infinity Time.
Well, thank you, Bert. Here's what I've been reading this week. Before I get on to the new comics, I just want to kick off with a confession. I was desperately trying to get hold of a copy of The Best of Milligan and McCarthy for you guys, because I really want to talk about it on this show. And unfortunately, for reasons, I couldn't get hold of one. However, I have had a look at what it contains, and I own most of the original comics anyway, so so, in your fine volume, published by Dark Horse Comics, at something ludicrously cheap, like $20 or something. Pennies, frankly. That's like, what, half of Infinity or something? You get a full reprint of the previously barred by Robert Maxwell graphic novel Skin, which is a great story about a thalidomide skinhead who tries to sleep with a girl. There's also Freakwave and Rogan Gosh, which is this hugely experimental comic about the levels of subconscious and what makes up personality. It's beautifully drawn. What else is in there? Skin, Rogan Gosh, Freakwave, Paradox, the superhero who doesn't want to be one. Even before Zenith was happening, McCarthy and Milligan came up with the idea of a superhero who has some superpowers but really can't be bothered, so goes to the pub and then goes to the swimming pool. It's fantastic. If you're not familiar with Brendan's artwork, I think the most famous thing he's done in comics is probably the Spider-Man Fever miniseries from a few years back, but he's also done lots and lots of TV design and film design and stuff like that, which I'm sure he'll be happy to talk to you about if you ever run into him. So I cannot, if there was one book that epitomized everything that I was trying to get across about how awesome comics could be on this show, it would be, encapsulated in The Best of Milligan and McCarthy, which, if there's an end of year, like, here are the graphic novels we loved, I'm putting that forward now. Go get a copy. It's ridiculously cheap for what it is. It's an education in psychedelic comics, and it should be required reading for anyone who's interested in this art form beyond a vehicle to produce Batman or Spider-Man content. So there's that. It's beautiful. On to this week's comics thing. Having never seen the show previously, I was curious to pick up Boone's new comic, Sons of Anarchy, based on the TV show around a motorcycle club. And obviously I really like motorcycles and that kind of music that's associated with it. And Sons of Anarchy it's one of those incredibly iconic things, and there's so much imagery that could work and has penetrated the general consciousness. See a lot of people wearing cuts and stuff now. Motorcycling's already a lot more popular. I'm sure it's as good as the TV show. However, the comic itself, The story's not very interesting, to be honest. It's all a bit archetypal. Here's a tough guy. Here's a tough guy with a heart of gold. Here's the tough chick who's looking after the gang, who's the fallen daughter in distress. Here's the idiot boyfriend who needs beating up. There's nothing wrong with it. It's competently written. It's just a bit cliche heavy. The artwork is serviceable and competent. It's nothing dynamic. It's no better than any other film or TV adaptation of anything you've ever seen. The covers are stunning. Like, they've gone to town with this stuff. They've really gone, we need to make this stuff stick out from the hodgepodge of badly photoshopped colours and 3D imagery that's going to be on the shelves by the time this rolls out. No pun intended. And they're great. Like, if Boom just goes, you know what, we're not going to do a comic, we're just going to do a portfolio of all the cool covers that we managed to generate by doing this project, that would be awesome. And I'd be totally up for that. So, Sons of Anarchy, alright. Maybe it needs a bit of a while to get into its groove. Next up, something I've been looking forward for a while, and it's kind of cyclic in that, you know, I kicked off the show doing a Mars Attack comic, and I'm finishing the show doing a Mars Attack comic. This week, Mars Attacks versus Judge Dredd, written by Al Ewing, and drawn by the lovely John McCrea, who's drawn things like Hitman, and Dex, and Spider-Man, The Thousand, and loads of awesome things. And you should check out John McCrea's work, and you should go find his artwork and talk to him at a booth, because he's a lovely man, and he's very funny. Mars Attack vs. Judge Dredd is clearly taking the piss out of both properties. The plot is basically, some bosses in Mega City decide that they're gonna form a new mob, and then the kid of one of the old gangsters who died previously shows up with his own mob and takes over, but he's backed up with the Martians from Mars Attacks, so everything goes wrong quite quickly, and Judge Dredd comes on and decides he's gonna sort all this out, but he's undercover because he doesn't want the mob to know. And it's all very silly, and it's all just ridiculously sublime, and there's some awesome one-liners, and there's a fantastic joke in there about Kirstie Alley, but I probably can't say it on the show. But nonetheless, I cannot recommend this kind of silliness enough, really. Well done to the boys. You've turned out a ridiculous comic, and it's so enjoyable. Finally, a new book from Dark Horse called Brain Boy. Brain Boy focuses on a man who can literally read people's minds. That's why he's got the name. He's an undercover agent for the government who provides security service, and his ability is to basically read all your information as if you were a human hard drive just by talking to you for a few seconds. It's a pretty interesting kick in that the hero's really just kind of a dick. This first issue introduces us to him and his world and what's driving him to do things. And it's drawn by one of my favourite contemporary comic artists, R.B. Sylvia, who you might remember from this awesome Jimmy Olsen mini one-shot that ran in the back of Action Comics a few years back. And it's fun. It's just fun. And it's beautifully drawn. It's a hell of a concept. You can see that this could run for ages and ages. Couldn't say enough good things about it, and I won't do that anymore. So there you go. Those were the comics I enjoyed this week. Go buy the best of Milligan and McCarthy. You will not have wasted a penny, and you will not regret a second, and you'll probably learn stuff, which is always good. Lucas!
Well, what have I read this week?
No idea, mate.
The same stuff as Bert. Yeah, the same stuff as Bert. No, I know what I'm going to talk about, don't worry. Well, first of all, I'll start off with Mighty Avengers issue 1, which I picked up because it was an Infinity tie-in, and it was an issue 1, and I was like, yeah, new thing to start collecting. It was fun. That's my review.
Alright, I'll elaborate on what Lucas just said.
Not really. Obviously, so it's going alongside. So you've got the Heroes for Hire. Right, here's the premise. Heroes for Hire bopping around doing their thing. Okay, you know, they're being heroes for hire. Spider-Man bops down, takes the piss out of them a little bit because it's Doc Ock Spider-Man. Says a few things that make sense. You know, heroes aren't supposed to be for hire because they're heroes, yada yada. We do it for yada yada. This coming from, of course, Doc Ock being a bit rich. And then, boom, Infinity happens. And it's just kind of, not a lot happens other than just kind of set up in this issue of just, these characters are coming together to fight Thanos' hench bitches. Now you can elaborate, but...
Alright, it was all set up, but I think it was really well done set up. It introduced all the characters nicely, although one of the team members, spoilers, leaves straight away because Spider-Man or Spock talks her out of being a hero's fighter.
Makes a very valid point, though.
Yeah, he does. What's the point in being a mercenary when you could be a hero and, you know, hit the big leagues and all that? Fair enough. It's really nice moments, especially with this young pal man. I haven't read actually anything with this new character in. He's handled really well. It's the right.
He's a bit whiny.
He is a bit whiny, but you know, he wants to be the next Pal Man. When you've got a name called Pal Man, you want to be the best. Just to let you know, the creative team is Al Ewing and Greg Land. And Greg Land, for me, I wasn't going to pick up the book based on that art, but I've got to say, not as offensive as his previous work. If you know what I mean, like, you know, there's the whole thing with Greg Land that he traces porn. But didn't really seem to be any porn traces in this, just, some faces, that was all. No, but, it was really good. I enjoyed it, especially there was a mysterious character involved.
Let me give you his proper name. It's the Splendiferous Spider Friend.
Does
whatever a stranger can.
Basically, Monica Rambeau, while visiting her superhero tailor, is, met with by this mysterious silhouette of a man. And, when talking, shit goes down, Thanos attacks New York, and this person needs a costume, so grabs a Halloween costume of Spider-Man, which is purple and green, and on the chest, just in big writing, Spider Hero. I'm guessing this is the new Ronin that's been hinted. No one knows who it is yet. Looking forward to that mystery. But in the meantime,
I think it's Danny Rand.
I don't think it is, but it might be, you know.
Using nunchucks.
Any martial artist uses nunchucks in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it was build up. There's that whole bit where Luke Cage is reminiscing about him. And it just kind of fits. Or, you know, it's gonna be Doctor Doom.
That would be weird. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Gotta say, Greg Land draws a mean Thanos. There was a really nice moment between Thanos and Proxima Midnight. Where Proxima was just, sort of almost begging to go and destroy New York. And as he said, how could he resist and let her go and unleash? Setting up's a really nice issue. I'm looking forward to the rest. We've got more characters coming in, such as, Adam the Blue Marvel and, I think the Falcon's coming in at one point. I'm not sure if that's going to be after Infinity because he's elsewhere in other books. But I would say, don't know about you, Lucas, but I would say definitely worth a read.
Yeah, no, I would. Definitely worth a read, and it's just kind of like a nice little thing to go alongside Infinity at the moment. Yeah. And, you know, have its own things to do afterwards. But
bit more of a believable tie-in, than Thunderbolts. Just gonna say that.
Yeah. Yeah, next on my, hit list was, the same Avengers that Bert read, which is, I'm just gonna say, Bert stole my review for it, so that's why I'm not gonna talk about it, and instead I'm gonna talk about Injustice, issues 34 and 35. So, for those of you who don't know, Injustice Gods Among Us is a video game, okay? Based on, like, the premise of what would happen if Superman decided to take over the world. So, the comic is basically kind of the events that lead up to the game. So, Lois gets killed by the Joker, tricks Superman into doing it and inadvertently nuking Metropolis. Superman goes a bit crazy. Shit happens, right? Which is the best way to put it. But I kind of, after reading it up until when the game came out, when they'd set up all the backstory, I kind of stopped picking it up, especially after the art took like a turn for the worse. I don't know if you've seen our Twitter photos, like the Batman shark face, Black Adam potato face. It all just kind of got a bit...
It won a lot of our worst panels of the week, idea we had going for a little while, and a lot of them came from, and the whole thing was inspired by Injustice.
But yeah, it just started to get a bit naff, so I just stopped reading it. But I've started reading it again recently, and the last two issues were quite good, and I'm just saying, you know, shit got real. So I'll start from the top. Superman is developing, Lex Luthor and Superman are co-developing these super pills, okay? Which is just a convenient way for people like Batman to fight people like Superman in the video game. But they're using it as a plot device. So he's developing these super pills. Batman, of course, finds out about it and puts together a team to go get these super pills. And the team's comprised of himself, Black Canary, Green Arrow, Captain Atom, and somebody else who escapes from it. So they have to sort out a distraction so Superman won't be at the Fortress of Solitude while this is all going down. So Batman speaks to the President, gets him to start this distraction, travels to the fortress. He gets there, he finds that not only are the super pills there, but also Ma and Pa Kent are both there. And Batman's like, oh crap, this isn't good. If he finds out we're here, he'll think we're here for his parents, yada yada yada. We gotta get out of it now. And of course Superman does show up. Captain Atom fights Superman, says that he'd been tasked by the President to kill Superman if the opportunity ever, came about. So he's punching the crap out of Superman, gets stabbed by Wonder Woman, is about to blow up, so takes Superman into space and blows up with him. Meanwhile, Batman and co. are getting out of the fortress while Green Arrow stays behind to try and get one of these pills for some stupid reason, even though they could have just taken one and then left. But he stays behind saying he's going to talk some sense into Superman. Superman, after surviving this giant nuclear Captain Atom explosion in space, flies back down. Green Arrow's trying to talk to him, shoots an arrow at him, and it pings off him and hits Pa Kent in the shoulder. Superman goes crazy and starts punching Green Arrow in until he dies. And it's a pretty dark scene. It's like the part where you properly see Superman change from being a good guy to full on bad guy. Putting his arm through the Joker wasn't enough because the Joker deserved it. But killing a man just for trying to talk him out of being a dictator, not so much. And they even do it from like a first person point of view. So you see Green Arrow's vision darkening as he's getting punch, splat. So that was issue 34. Issue 35, however, is kind of like the big one. So Batman says, I've got to go back to the Batcave to analyze this pill. It's the only place where I've got the technology able to do so. All of his super friends are saying, no Batman, you can't do this because Superman will know where you're going and he'll find you and he'll kill you. And Batman's like, nah, I'm Batman. So he gasses Catwoman after she tries to stop him. Goes to the Batcave. Sure enough, Superman shows up. And they have this talk where Batman's basically trying to play mind games with him. He's telling him that, you're a murderer, yada yada yada. And Superman's like, don't try and play these games with me, Bruce, and backhands him up against the wall. Long story short, it ends with Batman trying to fight Superman without any kind of pre-planning available. And Superman picks Batman up and says, I'm not gonna kill you, and then breaks his back over his knee. Very reminiscent of the whole, Nightfall. And you should see Batman's face. It looks almost like the shark face, but getting bent over Superman's knee. But it's just it was a really kind of out of nowhere moment. It's literally just the cover is, Batman broken. The last panel is Batman broken. So, we all know that Batman, of course, is gonna, regain full mobility because he's in the game and plays like a boss. But yeah, that's what happened in Injustice. Batman got his back broken by Superman after Superman has successfully, so far killed the Joker, Martian Manhunter, Green Arrow, and who knows, maybe next issue Batman, and it's actually Thanos who is Batman in the game.
Wow. Dr. Doom as Spider Hero and Thanos as Batman. Jesus.
Yep.
Your fan fiction is mental.
I know. The other thing I read, actually, there's one last thing, is I read the paper on the tram home from work.
Oh. Who's your creative team on that?
I believe they're called the Metro. But,
nice. I heard of them, yeah.
So right, what's next? What's next, guys? Come on,
I'm going to quickly wrap up my event watch with Battle of the Atom Part 3. It happened in X-Men, just a single Brian Wood's X-Men, issue 5. And it's creative team, Brian Wood, writer, penciler, David Lopez. And this is the best part, is David Lopez art really nice. But he got a super boost. Inker, Cam Smith, and colorist Laura Martin, and combined, super David Lopez. Jesus Christ. I turned over the first page and it was beautiful. It's kind of, very nice, which is, I'm using it in the best term rather than that overused, it's nice like a biscuit. Anyway, takes place right where number 2 left off. Jean Grey revealing herself saying, look at my hair, look at my face. quickly puts the mask back on, saying she can't be without it for too long. I'm guessing her powers are out of control a little. And they go set off to track down young Jean and young Scott, who done a runner, revealing a new black bird called a dove, which is a white bird. So it's a white plane, obviously. Take team, they go flying around. There is a really cool moment. Speaking of super tablets, Xavier, young Xavier Junior, whatever, takes a pill Cerebro, which he ingests, and then moments later when they finally track down Scott and Jean, can sort of interface with it in front of him like a hologram around his head. And also Jean can tap into it. It's really weird. It sort of turns him into Cerebro. Cool idea. Future technology and all that. It's the best. Anyway, so while they're tracking down these two young runaway superheroes, Rachel Summers and Kitty Pryde, the old Excalibur duo or whatever, are back at the mansion talking about how shit it is that they're left behind and they should help these two young people, and the choice to go back in time should be their own, and all this, trying to mess up the plan of the other heroes. They come, as, rambling through this a bit, as the main X-Men corner these two heroes, sort of like in a field. Beast gets shot in the face. Iceman is there looking like a big Hulk, like I'm Iceman, look at my face. The two Excalibur ladies, Rachel Summers, Kitty Pryde, smash into Giant Iceman with the Mockingbird or Hummingbird or whatever it's called. Every plane has got to be named after a bird in the X-Men. That's a fact. Tell them to fuck off, do a runner. Cyclops and Jean run all the way to this mysterious person who Jean Grey throughout the issue has been trying to communicate with without dropping her mental shields. Makes contact, and the big reveal at the end, the big most important thing, spoilers alert, Jean Grey and Scott Summers of the past, and now with Scott Summers of the present, turning the whole thing on its head. They've got the 3 out of 5 people. It's called a dove, the little bird, the big giant white bird. Yeah, fake stand for that. Anyway, anyone else read this? Because I read it and I fell in love with this issue.
Yes, I have. Go on, Lucas. Were you going to say something?
No, literally, I was just saying no.
I'll say you read this. This whole series is shaping up to be quite nice.
I've got to say, like, of all the things I thought I'd say in 2013, I'm really enjoying a Brian Michael Bendis Marvel crossover was not on that list. But this is great.
Really
I
is.
was like, it's just like, yeah, you're quite right. The art is absolutely beautiful. I know there were a couple of issues with, well, no pun intended, but like, well, it doesn't have the nice characters in it. I was like, yeah, but it's a really good story. And like, we've been thinking about this for a while since Bendis took over Uncanny and all new X-Men. And one of the things that came out of the conversation was, Bendis can't take over the book. Like, if you give him New Avengers or something, it'll be Luke Cage and Jessica Jones chatting over Chinese takeaway, right? And it'll be basically the voice of Bendis. And equally on any other Avengers book, he tends to take the least defined character and has them as a driving force. So they're basically the avatars for Bendis. But in these X-Men books, because those characters are so well defined, he has to follow what they're going to do. Rather than otherwise. So there's no, like, sitting about explaining what the fuck's going on for 15 minutes. They just get on with it. And this is really well driven. And I've got to say, like, I hope this is tied into what's been going on in Age of Ultron, because the whole, what happens if you kill a character while their future version is knocking about at the same time is quite an interesting thing. And, it's the first time in ages, probably this century, I'm thinking, who are these mystery characters? Where is this all going? And normally I don't, I'll read X-Men, but I won't care what happens. But I do actually want to see where this goes. And it's really well executed. And the cover design, for readers who haven't seen it yet, it's really great. It's just like this beautiful yellow streak down the side. And it just makes it stand out from the crowd, So I've enjoyed X-Men and all of Battle of the Atom so much. It's been the best thing of an adventure that Marvel's done in ages. Certainly more interesting than the last, decade of X-Men comics, or at least.
I've got to say, sorry, Nevs, are you reading the actual X-Men series, just Brian Wood's X-Men from the beginning?
Yeah.
Did you get the feeling, because I did get the feeling that Battle of the Atom just interrupted what Brian Wood was doing? It sort of felt like a natural fit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've still got a relationship between Storm and all that, rather than him going, let's put this story on hold and do this. He's interjected it in a way.
It's just a kind of like, this is a natural corollary of what happens. But that's what happens when you have a good editorial team, where they sit down to you and they say, this is where this book is going, and this is what we'd like you to do. And then you have a compromise, and the writer says, okay, I'll go along with that. Unlike, say, going, I don't know, by the way, we're building towards this marriage, and have been since before the book started, but actually it's the last minute and we're not doing that anymore. Bye, J.H. Williams. And that's, you know, that's what happens when you have people who are good at editorial and traffic running in charge. You just end up with things that feel organic because they've actually been planned out rather than thrown together at the last minute. And yeah, you're quite right. It does work because they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Again, go pick it up if you're not reading it. I really recommend it. Only 3 issues into this series, so go ahead. Just go mental. X-Men at the moment is so good. And that brings, sorry, go on. And Frank Cho, yeah. Jesus. Love Frank Cho. I hope the last issue is by Frank Cho as well. Bookend it.
It's reading his blog, just as a kind of like, cause he blogged trying to draw all of the Battle of the Atom issue 1 in like 5 days or something.
Wow.
But he did, and he just went, well, he didn't go crazy, but he was certainly like clearly feeling it by the end of it, because his Facebook posts were getting more and more erratic. But his Facebook thing's worth following anyway. I think he's got himself in trouble with a particularly lewd Batgirl sketch that he's posted this week.
Never mind. DC ain't gonna do nothing smart about it.
Alright then, thank you very much. That brings us to question time. So we've got a few questions for us guys. Let's start with the first one from Juan, one of our devoted Twitter followers. What's his Twitter? Dan?
Juan, at one.
Is
Sam
it at one?
At one, yeah.
At one, Sam, yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't want to say at one name. What comic event would you like to see as a movie, no matter how bad the comic story was? And that is from Juan. One question.
I like the question. Juan does really good one-hit questions. This, guys, I'm really sorry, it's an in-joke from earlier in the week. Juan done puns about his name and wanted Lucas to join in. Sorry.
Yeah, there was one in particular.
Sorry, Juan. Alright, okay. This question's, I really love this question, because if you think about it, there's been some really kind of great events throughout the years. Do you know what? Let's go mental. Let's have, the Secret War, the original Secret War, as a film. Imagine that, alright? You got all these superheroes and villains on one planet, punch each other in the face. The Beyonders, they're like, ho ho ho, bitches, do what I say.
In his disco outfit.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe with a mullet when he returned and he had a mullet. Bring that back as well.
I don't know.
Alright, well, I would maybe one of two things. The whole, DC Marvel crossover amalgam universe thing. Put that into a movie. Not because I want to see it as a movie, right? Okay. Then again, I'm pretty sure lots of people wouldn't mind. But because I just love to see watch filmmakers struggle with, doing it. That's why I want to see people suffer. Also, in a very similar kind of thing, I'd like to see the Clone Saga from Spider-Man be put into a movie, because good luck with that. Right?
Good luck.
That's what I'm saying.
See you later. Fair enough. Oh wow.
Yeah, go on, Nevs.
God.
Oh, go on, Bert.
No, go on. I'm speechless.
Okay, I'll kick in then. Jesus, Lucas, the Clone Saga is a movie. You're a terrible human being. But, okay, I got it. I don't know if it really counts as an event, but, you guys know me, I'm not really into your whole Secret Wars crisis on Infinite Bollocks malarkey, but the closest thing I can think of that I would like to see as a film that was an event is, the Marvel Zombies vs. Army of Darkness miniseries.
Oh, nice.
But with
that does sound quite good.
Because I watched House of the Duck this week for the first time.
Oh, why'd you do that?
Well, it was on my Netflix, and it kept on saying, I was like, alright, yeah, fine, I'm gonna go for it. I'll see how this is. And it's an amazing movie. I want that level of filmmaking, and that a level of incredibly bad special effects brought to the whole movie. And maybe not someone actually who's Ash, but maybe someone who looks a bit like him, like James Franco or something. But doing really or everyone just doing it really badly. Like, with like, instead of bleeding, it's got like some ketchup on their faces and stuff. They've got all their costumes from the Argos sassy Batman line or something like that.
I like that idea, but Howard the Duck, the movies, just, I don't want anything to do with that. Can George Lucas actually direct it?
Yeah, why not? Let's make it.
Go full on bad. I'll throw in a serious answer. I want to see the Annihilation done.
Oh,
that big scope. That would be so good. The big scope and the space opera.
Wouldn't that be Star Wars? Kind of.
Yeah, but with superheroes.
Star Wars meets Mass Effect, it would be so good, yeah. Yeah, we want that. You know, I just can't find one particular answer. Cause I'm gonna rinse this joke to the end of the show now.
Alright, okay, let's move on to question number 2 from me, actually, guys. One inspired me with his one question, and I asked, with Image having Clone get a shot at being a TV series and the huge success of The Walking Dead, is there an Image title you would like to see have a shot? Because Image seems to be getting a lot of TV deals lately. What about some other ones? The Image are like knocking it out of the park. And personally, sorry, I'm just going to quickly give mine and then let you guys answer. Personally, I'll say Saga. I want it done as a really good sci-fi TV show. Not a movie, TV show. Go on, Lucas, what about you?
Alright, I'll be honest, I don't really read enough Image books to be able to actually say, I think this should be a movie. But from what I have read of Saga, which was just the first kind of like trade, I'll just have to agree with you, but just because, Saga, from what I read, was quite good. Yeah, it would make a decent TV show. Or you could make a movie about my life.
About your life?
Yeah.
The life and times of Lucas.
No, it'd be like The Life of Pi, but it'd be called The Life of Lucas.
Was you trucks on a boat as a kid?
Yeah.
I knew that's where you came from. You couldn't have been
exactly.
Bold.
You understand my background now?
Yeah.
Alright, go on, Nevs.
Okay, well, I had to go for a bit of a trawl because Image have published so much stuff. It was kind of like trying to narrow it down. So instead of trying to do something intelligent, I thought I'd go for the most offensive comic that I could find that Image have published. And I've drawn it down to 2, actually. One of them was literally only ever 1 issue. And that is Zombie King by Frank Cho. Because in the opening 5 pages, a bloke is on a farm and he hears some really loud mooing. And on the 3rd page, he jumps over a fence to find one of his cows being fucked by a zombie.
Nice.
So that would work, I think. That would be quite a strong property. I don't know if Frank likes the world being reminded that he did that, but he certainly did. I've got multiple copies. The second one is a long-lost book by Rick Remender, who currently writes Captain America. He did a book called Crawl Space Triple X Zombies, which is about a flight taking off in 1977 and crashing into Hollywood with one zombie on it, and the zombie breaks out of the crashed plane and infects a porn shoot. And it's full of zombies and shagging and porn and wrongness. And it's drawn by Tony Moore, who drew the original 6 or 7 issues of The Walking Dead. And also some issues are drawn by Kieran Dyer, who drew one of my favourite comics of all time, Lowest Common Denominator, which is sick, filth, wrong, not even allowed in the country, and I love it. So yeah, I think that would be the one that we could make a very good movie, would be Crawl Space Zombies, Triple X.
You just went for the most disgusting ones.
I certainly did, yeah. I confess. You know, if you're gonna exploit the property, put everything in the movie.
Why not? You know, no matter how offensive it is.
No, it is offensive.
We got some other questions. These are from our AI system called Dan. He's made an appearance after a long while away. One comes out of our recent talk about Mighty Avengers, and it's
comes out of our recent talk.
Yep. Okay. Why have Marvel ruined Monica Rambeau? Now, he says, I forgot to write it down, but he says, in Next Wave, she was done such a brilliant character, fleshed out really well, but since then, she's been sort of shit, and in Mighty Avengers, she not only looks like Halle Berry from X-Men 3, but any female character could have been in that place. It didn't seem to be Monica Rambeau that he knew. My opinion is that clearly Al Ewing and the previous writers that ruined her never read Next Wave, or they did and just went, I can't do it this good, So I'm going to do it like this.
Well,
unless you two have an idea.
I can kick in with my view, to be honest.
Go for it.
Why?
The only thing I know about her is that at some point she was Captain Marvel or something like that.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, okay.
I literally
Now-
look at this as we talk.
Oh, okay. Now, I have no idea who she is before Mighty Avengers 1, in all honesty, right, okay? She jumped in and she said her name was the Spectrum, and I was like, whoa!
She's been a lot of characters, man. She's been Captain Marvel, she's been Photon.
She's got light powers, she can fly. She's just like another person, like, honest, like, to me, she's got another person with, you know, abilities with an added gimmick, or whatever, you know. I guarantee you half of her attacks are energy beams, or energy balls. But I've never seen her, and I just kind of completely overlooked her as a character. I was reading it because it was Infinity Time, it's got Thanos in it. Once again, you know.
You mean once again? Once again.
Once again.
I've ruined it so bad. Okay,
Yeah,
alright.
I almost killed it.
Nevs, what do you think? Bring it back to life.
1 minute here.
1 minute.
Right, well, I think this is kind of what I've started calling Warren Ellis syndrome, where somebody takes a particularly uninteresting character, like Alan Moore on Swamp Thing, or Neil Gaiman on Sandman, or things like that, and they do such a good job of defining the character. And, well, my favourite example is Grant Morrison on Marvel Boy, right? And because that person's so good at it, anyone who tries to follow it is either going to do like a karaoke version. Like, I really like Christos Cage as a writer, right? I think, some of the stuff he's done is really good. But when you look at, like, his run of Thunderbolts that he did right after Warren Ellis, it's just basically karaoke Poundland Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, because Warren did such a good job of just taking the piss with Next Wave, where he just, like, he literally tweeted at his followers, look, please give me 10 rubbish Marvel characters I can take the piss out of, and one of them was Captain Marvel. And he actually turned her into someone who, you know, wasn't just happy shopper background character with powers. She just spent the whole run just going, do you know when I was running the Avengers? And she was bitching the whole time. It was really funny. And because that's such a well-established character, you can't really follow that act unless you are that funny, in which case you have to go the other way, which is to do something a bit generic. I haven't read Mighty Avengers yet, so I don't know. I do normally like Al Ewing stuff, so I'm quite willing to give them a go. But I think that might be what happened to Monica.
Yeah, well, you know what? Give it time, because it is a rather large cast. And, this one in particular this issue in particular had focus on Luke Cage, Powman and Spider-Man. So maybe there'll be an issue where she'll get into the forefront and people go, that's Monica Rambeau, he's nailed it, done. But yeah, hang in there, Dan, D-A-N-A-I, Dan. Alright, don't corrupt any files of Al Ewing's yet, and just hang in there. Halle Berry, Monica Rambeau might not be such a bad thing. The next question, again from D-A-N, he's on a roll. What did you think of Riddick? No one spoke about it yet. I haven't seen it. But Lucas, you have. What did you think of Riddick? Vin Diesel in his muscly voice.
Okay, I'll do it really quickly, okay?
Do it in the voice of Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Oh, I can't. Vin. Okay, wait, here we go. Vin Diesel is in this film. The end. Okay, right, so it follows on from the previous two films, Pitch Black and The Chronicles of Riddick. And it starts off with, old Vinny Diesel being stranded on a planet, kind of a bit out of his luck, and it just seems like a bunch of the wildlife on this planet wants to kill him. And you're not really quite sure kind of how he got there, and then it explains it to you after about 20 minutes. It's like, here you go. So the Necromongers, you know, he became the king of them at the end of the last film. They kind of betrayed him and dumped him off on this planet. So he spends a lot of the film building a relationship with this dog, this kind of alien dog, and trying to survive. And then he calls a bunch of mercenaries down to the planet because he knows they'll come down to collect the bounty on his head, and then his plan is to try and steal their ship. But guess what? Shit happens, and they end up in it's like fusing together The Chronicles of Riddick and Pitch Black into one movie and calling it Riddick, which is what it's trying to be a sequel to both films at the same time, and it doesn't really work. It's kind of all over the place. 1 minute he's alone fending for himself, surviving, going Bear Grylls on your ass. And then you've got him, fighting a bunch of mercenaries, picking them off one by one, and you're like, oh, okay. And then it's like, big alien attack at the end of the movie from stuff that's been buried beneath you. And it just kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, the film, it ends funny, it starts funny, you're never quite sure where you're at. But, still a lot of fun. I'd prefer to watch Pitch Black again, though. So,
did you not watch it and think... Sorry, go on, Lucas.
Don't go see it, right, without seeing Pitch Black and Chronicles, right, recently, because you probably won't get anything.
Okay. Did you not watch it and think, oh man, they wasted Vin Diesel, he could have been more than just Groot? Or did you watch it and see his performance and think, thank God he's just a CGI tree?
I will always remember Vin Diesel as that guy who got shot in Saving Private Ryan.
I always see him as a pacifier.
There is that. No, it's the first time I saw him in. He's this guy and he runs out and he gets shot. Like, bam.
Oh, man.
That's that. That's the end of Vin Diesel. And then you see him like Fast and the Furious, where he's like, got big hench, muscly arm handshakes with Dwayne Johnson, and you're like, these guys are so hench that they are weird. Like, they're proper weird. If you see Dwayne Johnson's arms, they make up 6 of me.
Yeah. But they're weird shaped as well. They're like a bag full of sausage meat. Which, bags full of sausage meat. I can't think of another one inspired joke for this, so, right, yeah, we're gonna end it on that note. Right, yeah, we're gonna end it. It's been a hell of a ride, this show in particular.
Yeah.
Thanks
Would you like to be
guys.
the one who closes?
I'll be the one that closes. Right, yeah, this has been BAMF
close?
Yep.
Yep.
Alright, well, guys, it has been fun. It has been entertaining. This is my final BAMF for a bit. If you would like to know what I'm doing next, by the time this has gone out, you might have all noticed that you've picked up a new Twitter follower called Follow the Sexy Robot. That's what I'm doing next. You'll hear more about it soon. Guys, it has been an absolute pleasure and a joy, and I have loved every minute of it. And you guys always made me laugh. Thank you.
All right.
See you soon, BAMFers.
Okay, and then again on that note, there isn't one joke there, but we're going to think of forcing one in at the end. So, this has been BAMF Comic Book Radio. I've been your host, Bert Kempson.
One moment in time. There you go.
That's Nevs. Lucas is sitting over there reading the book in the dark, thinking he's Riddick. And yeah, don't forget you can check us out on Twitter. On Twitter at Radio BAMF, on Facebook, BAMF Comic Book Radio, Tumblr, Radio BAMF, and wearearcade.com, where you can see not only us, not only us, but our sister show, Anime UK. Please do get in contact, because like Juan did, he got in contact and he had jokes made about him in a nice, friendly manner. So if you want to be joked about, get in contact with us and we will love you like we love Juan. Because he is our one and only. Yes! On that note, we end. Bye bye.
Follow the sexy robot. Follow the sexy robot.
www.wearearcade.com